Welcome to 20 at 10 with Nat. I'm your host, Natalie, and my special guest tonight is Austin's own producer, songwriter, musician, multi-instrumentalist, Gabriel Rhodes. Hello,
Hey, how are
and
you?
welcome. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. Yeah, it's been a crazy day, crazy week.
I'm
Fun.
sure.
Yeah,
Thanks for joining me tonight. And
thanks for having me.
yes,
Yeah,
we're here. I can't believe it. I'm settling in my brain too into the moment. You and I have only just met recently in person, correct? Was it actually at.
no, we met at the BMI thing the other
Right,
night,
right, right.
which was pretty crazy because everybody left, and it ended up being just me and Mitch Bullard
Oh, really?
that runs the BMI office here, and it turned into being this like scene full of like cool writers and musicians to like a kind of a dangerous frat party, and we're like, we need to get the fuck out of here before we get our ass kicked. So yeah, but
Yeah,
not
I was
that.
standing around
Yeah,
after meeting y'all and I don't remember who I was texting, but trying to figure out what my next move was, and got into a conversation with someone and suddenly realized I think it's time to move on.
this is no longer the BMI folks. Yeah.
Yeah, everyone left super fast, and I was like, I am here by myself. Um, well, I'm glad we finally met in person. I've heard your name for a long time through, of course, Jeff Blinkenhorn and other Johnny Gowdy, like a bunch of other people in the scene in the Austin music community. So I was like, oh, yes, of course. Good to meet you in person. I've heard so much about you. Um, well, I have lots of random questions for you. I'd love to just start
All right. Fire 'em
rapid
up.
fire asking. Also, Joanna's here. Hey, Joanna. Good to see you. Kind of. See your comments. Know that you're there. Okay, so I know that you're a multi instrumentalist, but I'm very curious what your first instrument was.
My first instrument was guitar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Like acoustic, electric.
Acoustic. I had an acoustic guitar. My dad actually, well, I mean, I grew up in a my mother is a singer songwriter, and she had, when I was younger, a Western swing band, which had all the great, like Johnny Gimbel was playing the fiddle, Emily's dad, and Jimmy Day, who was one of the inventors of the pedal steel guitar, which I inherited the prototype for the first pedal steel.
That's
It's not the
amazing.
one there, but um, so I always just had all these musicians around the house. But it wasn't till I went up to live with my dad in Oklahoma, my real dad, um, that he kind of knew, like everybody, like he knew how to play a few Hendrix songs and Mother Nature's Son by the Beatles, and so he taught it to me, and then I just kind of took to it, um, and and then there was always musicians around the house, so I was always able to ask them. I'm completely self-taught, so
Okay.
but I was able to bend people's ears and get a few licks here and there, out of the deal. And Mel Bay books. We didn't have YouTube back then.
Nice.
Yeah.
So a lot of, I grew up in kind of the opposite environment. Like, no one in my family was really musical. No one in my family knew anyone who was a musician. So the idea, when I brought up the idea of playing music or being a musician, was not a real thing. Like, no one took it seriously, you know?
Almost
It
frowned
was
upon.
it was, yeah, and a foreign, mostly a foreign concept.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't even compute. And so you were kind of like in the opposite environment where it's very much a lifestyle and a real thing and like surrounded by it. And I was going to ask a question. I decided not to ask the question, but cuz like you only know the environment you grew up in, you know. And
Yeah.
I wouldn't say that
But
one is
yeah.
better or worse, but I guess cuz in my mind I think of like wow, all of the advantages.
No, I mean, of course it gave me a leg up, Natalie. Um, and I think I've approached this with many different people. It's like, oh, you had it easy because you know, you were the son of
Right.
a famous songwriter, and you know, so and of course it helped me get connections. But nobody hires you because of who your mother is. They hire you because they like the way you play the guitar, and they want you to make them sound good. You know, my mother doesn't go on tour with me, you know, and play guitar for them. So, but no, it helped me. I mean, I would have never, you know, I did a couple of records with her, with Willie. And then Willie called me out of the blue a few times. It was like, hey, why don't you come up and make some records with me? You know, and so I would have never had that connection were it not be for her. And I'm grateful for that, you know.
Yeah. I guess the question was going to be around, clearly there were some advantages, but was there anything you could point to that was a disadvantage, you think? And I guess you kind of hinted at it, that like you had to prove yourself.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know about proving, but you did have to, you know, you obviously have to bring something to the table no matter what you're doing. And they never really encouraged me to be a musician. Embarrassingly enough, it was watching the movie La Bamba.
Oh,
and it wasn't because of Richie Valens or any of that. There was a song in that movie called Sleepwalk, which is
Johnny and Taylor. It's so beautiful. It's the intro.
And it struck me in a weird way, and so I learned it. And then once I learned that, I just kind of kept learning other stuff. But that was the first song I ever learned, just because I thought it was so gorgeous.
Wow, I love that. It is a beautiful song. Like, and I only saw La Bamba for the first time last year.
Yeah.
And I watched it multiple times, and just that is the intro music to the movie.
That's just that beautiful clank, 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 clank. Yeah. What are they, Santos and Johnny, and and it's probably their best song, you know. But there's just something about it that I just thought was remarkable and wanted to learn it. So I did, and then
I love that was the first thing you learned. That's so beautiful. Yeah. So then you kind of fell into a hole of like learning new things.
Yeah, and also I just kind of, you know, I was one of those, kind of like I've seen my son do now. He's 20, but you know, I offered him piano lessons when he was younger. He dropped out after the third or fourth lesson. Then he wanted to take accordion lessons for whatever God knows reason. And he stuck with that for about 4 or 5 lessons. And then I just left him alone about it. And then he was in his room playing bass. You know, he'd have his headphones on, so all I would hear was his bass. And you'd hear like the entire, you know, second side of Abbey Road or whatever, you know, or Sly and the Family Stone. And now he's actually a really accomplished jazz pianist, but he did it all on his own without me pushing him. And my parents never did anyway. They probably thought he'd be way better off if he went to college and was a dermatologist or something, you know. But and also I mean, by the time I was 15, I was playing rhythm guitar in my mom's band at the Broken Spoke the first Saturday of every month, who, you know, in like a Western swing dance band with all those great musicians and stuff. And Willie would come and just put a hat on and kind of sit in a chair so nobody would recognize him, and just so he could kind of pick with all those cool old players, you know.
That's funny.
So it was, you know, I was lucky.
Yeah, the thing that, as I talk to more and more people, the thing I realize about musicians is that whether or not you grew up in a musical family or not, we all have to find our own way, and we all eventually do. Like, when you're a creative person, like there's something that's coming out of you cannot stop. And anyways, that's kind of what I've gleaned from just talking to a bunch of people. And some of us take a lot longer to find that. It took me a long time to get over the fear of.
Yeah, because I can't remember, like, it's a kind of an interesting story. I think he was Jeff Plankenhorn's guest on one of his last shows. Kind of an older guy, kind of a blues. I'll never remember his name now that I'm trying to think of it, but he's made a pretty great name for himself. But he didn't start till like he was 40 something, even to pick up an instrument.
Wow.
So, everybody's story is different.
Yeah, so I like have come to just embrace my own story and the place where I'm in my journey, and I try really hard not to like regret how like whatever long it took me to get to where, and not judge myself for not being further along than where I am, and enjoy the journey more too.
Yeah. Well, there's no real roadmap to success.
See?
Yeah.
That's the thing that's confusing about music and the music business is there's not really a handbook.
Yeah.
There's not a college course. There's no prep course for it. Like if you want to be an attorney or a doctor or an engineer or a computer programmer, you go and you take a certain course.
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, everybody's story is different. I always love to tell this story when singer-songwriters, particularly that I'm producing, ask me, how can you do this and this? I'm like, everyone's story is different. But I used to play with this guy, Calvin Russell, who was a humongous star in France and Germany. And we would travel and it was just a dream gig. But he was a nobody playing at the Austin Outhouse to 3 people. And Charlie Sexton had this band with Speedy Sparks and stuff that the guy had come all the way from Switzerland to see. He was a record. He owned no, he was from France. He owned a record label called New West or New Rose. And they came to what's now the some big strip mall, but it used to be like a music venue. And they played, and Calvin was supposed to play in the middle. The entire audience went inside to get a drink while Calvin played, except for the one person in the audience was the New Rose guy. He fell in love with Calvin and made him a giant star.
Wow, amazing.
With Marlboro endorsement, Jack Daniels. When we toured, Girbeau did all of our clothes. I mean, it was an amazing story of he played for one person and it just happened to be, and he didn't care at all about the band that he came to see.
That's crazy.
So,
I love hearing stories like that though. It's so crazy how stuff works out.
It's a lesson of always, no matter how many people are in the audience, play like there's 100,000, And
it underscores the idea of whatever show you're playing, whether you're a background music at a restaurant or whatever, you're auditioning.
Yeah.
Whenever you set foot on a stage, this is.
Yeah. Well, for me, I play for the music anyway. I just can't help it. I don't have I'm going to half-ass this button. There's certain gigs that are obviously more fun than others. Sure. But, at the end of the day, it's still just me and my guitar.
Right.
And I've gone from doing the Letterman show till the very next day catching an early flight and being at the corner of a Mexican food restaurant being ignored.
Oh, my gosh.
So it's the soaring highs and the swooping lows.
Well, I was going to ask that first. I want to say hey to Kent and Rose tuning in. Kent said something. Oh, wait. Maybe it was Joanna had a cool. Oh, she really likes the accordion when we were talking about the accordion. One thing I was going to ask, kind of your highs and lows. What was one of the most intense or memorable moments on stage for you?
That may be one of them. I was pretty young and doing, we got to rehearse with Paul Shaver and do all of that. And, I think all of the times traveling with Calvin, it was just a great thing because just getting to be in that culture, all the rest of the band being Parisians and just me and Calvin and just trying eventually my ear just started picking up on the language. And, you started knowing, because French people are always talking about you behind your back. Any foreign language person is, and eventually starting to kind of just pick it up after 6 weeks or so. I would say probably Letterman show was the most intense because I was so young.
How old were you?
Probably, well, it was before I had my son, so I was probably like 22 or something,
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
Stefano says hi.
Oh, hey, Stefano.
Let's see.
Speaking of the accordion.
I know, I was like, hey. Okay, so Kent makes an interesting comment here. He says you're quite the dessert maker. What's that about? Do you make dessert? I don't know.
I wouldn't know what he was talking about. Elaborate, Kent.
Yeah, okay, Kent, tell me more.
I may have helped out at one of it, like a dinner with Julia thing.
Oh, okay.
And helped her with one of her plating a tiramisu or something.
Ooh, that is one of my favorite desserts. Mm-hmm. So, going kind of with that memorable moment idea, what's one of your most intense or memorable moments in studio?
Well, it would definitely be doing Willie's sessions. Probably it would be, I did a record with Willie and Ray Price, and it was all live, all in one room. And twin fiddles, steel guitar, bass, Willie and Ray Price, and a few other people. But you just and also I was pretty young then too. I was probably about 27. Definitely the youngest person in the room. Nice. And I learned very quickly to not smoke weed with Willie, because and also it would be learn the song one time through, he'd just barely play it, and then boom, we're taking it. And if he liked his performance, that's it, we're done. And that was pretty intense.
What was there anything else you learned in that? Any other thing you took away from that experience?
Well, I think with any session, as being like the more, because I've probably I've been doing it for over 30 years, but as far as the studio since the early 90s, is being how to be confident and expressive with your playing, and also how to play on a record as how to play live, because they're two completely different things. What a crowd likes is way different than what the tape likes.
Right.
But still you want to be expressive in the short amount of time that you have to do the thing, and you've been picking your moments. And I don't know if that makes sense or not, the word expressive, but
I think so.
Yeah. To have some character in your playing, but not too much character.
Do you have a preference, like playing live versus?
I definitely prefer this. I definitely prefer the studio. I mean, I love to play live, but it's such a nice thing to just build them and never have to fly them, Yeah. Because it's the reason why I would never be a singer or songwriter, like to try to book gigs or anything like that. I love writing songs, and I love writing songs for people's projects, and I have a lot of that going on right now. But I would get bored of it the second time I played it, I just can't. I mean, and I admire people that do it. It's not me.
That is a good thing to know about yourself.
Yeah.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I just love that spark of creativity, especially when you just hear the song for the first time, you make a chart real quick, you walk in there, you have no idea what you're going to play. Mm-hmm. And then you just play something, and it's the track.
Are
and then
you?
somebody else can go play.
I mean, yes.
Yeah.
Are you an introvert or an extrovert? Where do you get your energy from?
I
People
think I'm
or
both, because and I think I've discovered that more and more during
lockdown?
lockdown. I need people, but
Mhm.
I'm also super happy on my own.
How do you recharge? Is it with people or by yourself?
It's by myself. I need a certain amount of if I've been around people for too long, I start to kind of lose it. But if I've been without people too long, I start to kind of lose it.
Yeah.
So I think I'm an introverted extrovert, because I enjoy people. I really do.
Same.
Yeah.
Well, it's I've heard it explained as where you get your energy from. So if it's by yourself, then you're an introvert. But we all need people, so that makes sense too. I'm a quiet extrovert. I get my energy from being around people. Um, so okay, this is I was looking at the time real quick, make sure I have time to ask.
Mhm.
Okay, a thing I like to ask all of my guests, what is the earliest memory you have of hearing a song and being captured by it? Like,
That's easy. Yeah,
okay,
it
what?
would be because my mom. I grew up on a farm, kind of halfway between Dallas and Wichita Falls.
Okay.
And it was 2 miles to the nearest neighbor, and they were hippies that luckily had a place to go. That was my grandmother's farm, and my dad grew pot, and my mom worked at the flower shop. But my mom would always put music on to clean the house, and the first song I remember hearing, and it would have been long before I was in kindergarten, was when the Locusts sang the Bob Dylan song off of New Morning.
Okay.
And it's that line where the man next to me, his head was exploding, praying the pieces don't fall on me, and the locusts sing. You know that song, right? No.
I actually don't, but
Okay, well, it's on a great record. It's one of his. I think it may be his first record.
I'll make a note though.
He does it with his like old piano teacher, like plays on a lot of it and stuff. It's called New Morning, and it's a really great album.
Well, I've made a note to go and listen now.
Yeah. So anyway, that was the song. It was Dylan's New Morning, and then of course I had my little record player, but the one that like has the speakers built in, but my needle would always break, and since we live so far out there, months would go by before they'd ever get me another needle, and but I had on that I had the Robin Hood soundtrack, which was Roger Miller doing all the music for that. Remember the cartoon for Robin Hood?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, well, that was Roger Miller wrote all those songs and sang them. Like the Sheriff of Nottingham and all that. Yeah, it was a really,
that's cool.
Pretty hip soundtrack.
So, Joanna has a question. How many guitars are in that room right now?
A lot. I haven't really counted them. And it kind of extends around to the other side of the room too. And then there's a bunch more in a closet. But
are they all your guitars?
There's about 3 or 4 of Plank's in here right now, because he's been keeping some of his here because he moved to Canada, and so that they're here when he comes to. He's like a child of a divorce. He's got stuff in Canada and stuff here. He's got 2 different rooms.
Nice. Hey, Heather, thanks for tuning in. Okay, last question before I move on to what I like to call pop questions. Mm-hmm. What is the most valuable piece of advice you've been given on your musical journey, or that you've picked up on?
Well, I mean, that's pretty hard, but I think
something that comes to mind.
My stepfather was a really, really great influence on me, and he was a real, kind of a big deal in the Austin music scene, and helped start Austin City Limits. But he kind of taught me when not to play and how to find the holes in between the singing and how to not play on top of a vocal. And I think that's something that every, guitar player ought to learn for sure. But every musician is how to find your spot in between the words and what you don't play is probably more important, and that less is more. And that's a lesson that you got to learn over and over again, especially as a producer, because it's so easy to get, especially me, I hear a jillion parts.
Right.
But the fewer the tracks, the bigger the song,
Interesting.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's pretty important.
Who is it?
Hey, man.
Hey, look who just showed up.
What are you doing?
I don't see anybody. Who is that?
It's Jeff Blankenhorn.
Hey, look, it's Jeff.
What's going on?
We're just moving on to pop questions.
It's pop question time?
Mm-hmm.
It's pop question time. Ready?
Mm-hmm.
Da, 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 da. Have you ever ruined a surprise party?
No.
But that sounds like fun.
But I would like to someday. Well, maybe I have. I don't know. If I did, I don't remember.
Okay. Have you ever stage dived?
No, absolutely not. That's not me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Have you ever eaten fast food for all 3 meals in one day?
Oh, definitely. Yeah.
Any worth mentioning? Any particular
No,
day?
in fact, I've gone through. I remember one time I went through McDonald's and Taco Bell in the same trip just because I wanted something from each place.
Interesting. For the same meal? Just different
Yeah,
items?
they were in the same parking lot, same lunch.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Nice. Have you ever been suspended?
Oh, yeah, definitely. I've been thrown out of school.
Oh, anything worth mentioning?
I was leaving that day anyway, so they just decided to get me out of there a little quicker, Yeah.
Okay, you're causing trouble?
Yeah, I was kind of a troubled. I mean, I wasn't horrible, but a stoner.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. You got a question for me?
How long have you been in Austin?
The first time I ever came to Austin was 2007, and I came during the summers, but I moved all my stuff here in 2010.
Okay. And where were you coming from?
The Dallas-Fort Worth area.
Okay. Yeah, my grandmother lived in Plano, so we spent 1 week every summer in Plano. So you said that that nobody in your family was musical or even knew a musician.
Right.
What was your inspiration of that made you want to be a musician?
I mean, there was music around, like we watched musicals, and like my dad would sing certain lullabies to me at night. Like there was music around, but like no one was a musician. No one was really drawn to music. I grew up on Christian music, and that was all I was allowed to listen to for a long time. And the first music I heard that made me feel something was a Christian boy band.
Mm-hmm.
And I just remember like being moved by the music, getting excited, and like I was very confused by actually like feeling a bunch of things listening to music, and I was like, I don't know what that is, but I want to do that. I want to make that. So I was trying to figure out in my brain, how do I make this happen? Because I didn't know anybody that was a musician. Like, how do you even do that? And it wasn't really something I could Google at the time. So it took me a long time to figure it out. And
Yeah.
but that was the thing, listening to those songs by that boy band and like feeling something and being like, what is happening to me is what I want to create and let happen with other people. Yeah. So.
Because I guess I was the opposite. My parents were Christian, but we didn't ever listen to Christian music. Well, Dylan does have a record called Slow Train Coming, which is his kind of Christian religious.
Death is Not the End is on that one?
No, it's got like Gonna Have to Serve Somebody, and it's got a lot. It's actually a really, really great record. He got kind of panned for it by the critics because he was making a gospel record.
Right.
But kind of got a cool soul feel, and Mark Knopfler plays guitar on it, and it's a cool record. But anyway, I can't remember where I was really going with that. But
Okay.
oh no, but I remember sitting with my headphones on, listening to Sgt. Pepper's, and just really feeling something, when I was a little kid. So I think is what's so great about the Beatles is it keeps relating to every generation of kids. My daughter went through a Beatles phase. She's 13 now, but when she was about 9,
I went through a Beatles phase too. Well, I went through a lot of different phases when I started driving and I could control the radio.
Sure.
I discovered oldies, the oldies radio. So there's a lot of Beatles. Really liked the Beatles and Beach Boys, and and then I kind of started dabbling in like country. So like country in the early 2000s, I'm kind of familiar with. It was very interesting and fun to like just change the channel and listen to something I've never heard before.
So is your music now kind of centered around Christian themes or not so much?
Well, I mean, I am a Christian. I don't write church music though.
Okay.
So like I would be shocked if any of my songs were sung in church.
Yeah. See, the thing about me, and one cool thing, like we used to, every Easter we would go up to Willie's Western Town, and Willie and his sister Bobby and me and my mom would all do gospel songs for the congregation of Willie, because he has a church.
Oh yeah, I've seen pictures.
Yeah, on his Western Town, and then it got too big, and then he just started buying getting a band called the Bells of Joy to come and play, and then it got too overblown, and he just stopped doing it altogether. But I've always been agnostic, but I just love gospel songs, And lately I've been writing with a girl that only writes like Christian contemporary music, and I really enjoy writing those songs too, because I feel something. It's just I don't know what I'm feeling, I think.
Right.
No.
Well, it's an interesting, like music is a language of heaven, and it taps into something so in our core and spiritual. And like you've probably experienced or seen someone really moved by a song. You yourself have been moved by music.
I've had the hair stand up on the back of my neck, and all the hair on my arms just raised up. Yeah.
Or just like maybe you're crying and you don't know why.
Move you to tears. Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really crazy and amazing and beautiful thing.
Yeah.
For sure. And especially like every Christmas when I'm at home and I'm able to go to a Christmas Eve service, and there's that moment at the end where there's no band playing, everyone's lit a candle, and we're singing Silent Night together, just a cappella. Like every time, I cannot help but I am crying. So, hey Robert, thanks for joining. Well, did you have another question, or am I answering these pop questions now?
Okay. All right. Yeah. All right.
Have I ever been banned from a public place? I don't think so. If I have blocked it from my mind.
You don't seem like the type.
It's possible.
Yeah.
Have I ever played Dungeons and Dragons?
I have.
I haven't, actually.
Well, you probably weren't allowed. It's a heathenistic game.
True. Have I ever ding dong ditched? Do you know that? Ring the doorbell and run.
Ring the doorbell and run. Yeah, I've definitely done that.
Yeah, I totally have.
Yeah.
Let's see. Have I ever gotten a noise complaint? Yes.
Definitely.
And it was when the first thing that popped in my mind was in college when we were rehearsing for the college talent show, and our band that we put together really quickly was originally called the Dirty Socks, and we changed our name to the Third Floor Noise Complaint after that.
Cool.
It was a very short-lived band, but
Where did you go to college?
UT Dallas.
Oh, okay.
Cool. All right, well, that seems like enough. Enough pop questions.
I like the pop questions.
They're kind of
I'm
fun
a
and
big
random.
trivia guy. I love trivia.
Yeah, I mean, I'm terrible at trivia. Like, unless you need to know, like, Bible information or Christian music from the 90s, I'm not
Yeah, I
gonna
won't be
able to help.
playing Bible Trivia Pursuit with you. Yeah.
But I mean, on a trivia night, if you get, like, Bible
Mhm.
or Christian music from the 90s, I can maybe help you out.
Okay.
Whoa, Joanna's bringing the heat tonight. I'm sure
Mhm.
Kelly was banned from at least one 7-Eleven. I mean, maybe Joanna remembers something I don't.
Maybe this comes from like she remembers something.
I don't know. Now I need her to fill me in on this story or this rumor. Okay. Well, are y'all gonna play a tune together?
We'll play a tune. I've got Jeff Plankenhorn here.
He's gonna make me earn my keep.
He's been staying here at the house, and he's been the most pleasant house guest I think I've ever had. He's as quiet as a church mouse.
Some of my
Is
wife
he?
would say.
He is. Yeah, he's helpful.
My wife would beg to differ.
Nice.
You on over there?
I think I'm on.
All right.
I'm going to, before you start, I'm going to mute myself and turn off the echo cancellation.
Okay.
And then I will join you again verbally.
Yeah, there you go.
Okay.
I think we're good.
All right. 2, 3, and. I used to play it safe. I was hiding away, always keeping myself to myself. But you can't live your life hiding inside. You gotta share it with somebody else. I'm finding more in my heart than I ever did before. I'm finding more and more. The love is only love when you find a way to give it away. Take my love. Take my love. When you're feeling like you don't have enough. Take my got it right. Then count the stars in the night till you showed me who I am. I could be here when you need me, with a heart full of believing in us, and do the best I can. I'm finding more my heart than I ever did before. I'm finding more and more. That love is life, you don't have enough. Take my love. Take my love. Go. Ta-da!
Yay!
That's a song.
So beautiful.
I wrote that with my mother. You know, we were writing, to keep from losing our minds, we were writing songs kind of, you know, a couple times a week with different people. Marcia Ball, I'd write with Jeff, Sean Camp, Ruthie Foster, just everybody all through the lockdown. And it was a good way to keep from going insane, you know, just on Zoom or FaceTime.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I agree. Like connecting and collaborating was how I stayed.
That's how Johnny Agouti and I started art. You know, we've got like 4 singles now. The last one I still need to mix, which I keep needing to remind myself, and then he's going to release it. But yeah,
That's awesome.
yeah. So you're going to play us a song?
Oh yeah.
Okay, so do I need to mute us?
Yeah, go ahead, just because I'm still getting a little of an echo. Okay, I was gonna play one song and I changed my mind, so I'm playing another one now. This is called Give a Damn. And I don't know, I just felt like I needed to play it earlier. Song for a friend. You know, one thing I've learned in life is that you can only love someone as much as they let you. And sometimes someone doesn't let you love them because they don't love themselves. Like they cannot let you love them because they don't love themselves. So, here's Give a Damn. I'm not your mother. I'm not your lover. I've got no built-in rights. I'm not your father. I'm not your doctor. But I can tell it's serious. Don't say you'll be there soon when you're in a hospital room. I love a good joke, but this one isn't funny. You've got a broken heart. You've got a fucking start letting your friends give a damn. Oh, because I'm a friend and I care about you, dear. I wish that you cared more about you too. 'Cause if you don't care, the battle is twice as hard. 'Cause I have to fight you and try to convince you that you're worth it.
Yay! I love it. You know, oh yes, I was trying to figure out. Wow.
Thank you.
The guitar sounds so good.
Thank you.
I noticed this the other night at Plankenhorn's gig that even though your music sounds modern, it kind of brings me into like this 50s thing too, in a way, you know, which I like the phrasing of the lyrics. It's super cool.
I remember
It's
once
like retro-y.
Yeah, I remember once. Sorry to interrupt,
Yeah.
but I remember once you sent me something, and I remember writing back. I really loved it, and it sounded bubblegum to me. Remember that? Remember that?
Oh, is that
Gooey.
Oh, yeah.
That's a good melody. We never did anything with that. Well,
We
that's
didn't. That's funny. We need to finish that one or go back to it.
Yeah.
not that we know
Well,
each other.
we need to write a song.
There you
That's
go.
true.
Yeah.
I'm down.
Always.
Also, I think this might be the first time I've had pedal steel on the show.
Yeah.
There you go.
Possibly.
First time.
Another first for the show right here, folks.
Besides the session I played a couple of days ago, because this is my steel, and here in Austin, this is the first time I've played pedal steel in a year.
Oh my gosh.
No, year and a half. So I was so happy to be playing it
I'm
again,
with
but-
you. It's like absolutely one of my favorite instruments. It's such an emotional.
Ooh.
When that
Robert.
got up last Friday night, she upped Jeff's game.
Well, that's what always happens.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's why I don't bring.
Thanks, Robert.
How do you think he invited her
I
up?
mean, yeah, I don't invite them up to like do anything for them. It makes me look cooler.
Well, thank you for having me. Was that that was Friday? What
That's
is today?
Friday.
Monday?
I know.
It feels like 2 weeks ago.
It really does. Yeah,
Thank you.
that was fun. Yeah, it's been a minute.
It goes by fast when we're hustling.
Mhm.
Yes, agreed. Whoa, so many comments coming through. I was trying to pay attention to all the comments, but
Not possible.
it's not possible. Thank y'all so much for hanging out with me tonight.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Gabriel, for being my guest.
You're more than welcome. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Looking forward to writing sometime.
Yeah, let's do
Sometime
it.
soon, hopefully.
Absolutely.
Okay. Everyone, thank you for tuning in. Let's see if I can get everyone. Robert, Kim,
Thanks for-
Rose,
yeah,
Joanna.
For busting in and playing with me.
No.
Yeah, thank you. Jeff Lankenhorn.
My pleasure. I get a chance to play this thing.
Awesome. Well, y'all have a wonderful evening.
too. Yeah.
And I'll see you hopefully in person sometime soon.
Okay. Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everybody.
Oh.